Javier Mendez, which is his kickboxing coach. His dad was his grappling coach. Allah yarhamhu, he passed away now. So now we get into a really interesting letter by Ali Abdul Aziz. Ali Abdul Aziz is his manager. Now again, I'm not saying I support these guys and all they do, but I'm saying there's certain lessons we can learn. So he says that, my name is Ali Abdul Aziz. Today I'm a former fighter, a Renzo Gracie black belt holder, and the manager of several UFC stars. I happened to meet Khabib in 2014 when he tore his ACL, anterior cruciate ligament. I was not his manager at that time. He flew to Las Vegas and we lived together for almost a year, and then he again injured his knee and broke his ribs. Because of these injuries, Khabib was close to retiring from the sport. During this difficult period and afterwards, we have remained close. He lived for a time with my family and has become friends with my children. So now, that's fine. But now we get into some points about Khabib's personal life that you see that they're definitely something we can take lessons from. Khabib is not just one of my fighters, he's like a brother to me. And he is one of the most incredible people I've ever met in my life. By being near him, I'm getting better myself. His kindness, his devotion, his faith, and the way he treats other people are all amazing. We went through a lot together. Before the fight with Ferguson, he fell ill and we had to go back to, hold on. How do I scroll down here? There we go. Progressed all the way to the title again. We fought with Eddie Barboza and Ali Quinta, and Khabib became the UFC lightweight champion. That's fine. Now, there's one more paragraph, then the point I want to make. At the time this preface was written, he was preparing to fight with Conor McGregor, expected to be the greatest contest in UFC history. Khabib is a person who will always support me, and I will always support him, and we will always be friends and brothers until death. He is a very important person in my life. I admire him not only as a fighter, but above all as a human being. He's the coolest dude on the planet and an undisputed world lightweight champion. That's fine. But look at what he talks about, not him as a fighter. Those who get to know Khabib, one of the things that they mention is a man of principle. And they don't just celebrate, oh, he's a millionaire, or he's a lightweight champion, or he's undefeated. They celebrated him as a person. Even with that whole, we discussed last week about the controversy about his comments about these, the ring girls and fighting being useless. People may disagree with the Islamic principle of lowering your gaze, etc., of not touching the opposite gender, not dating. They might be against it, but they were able to see his principle. He's a man of principle. There was one of the ring girls who do not, I was reading this article, they don't dress properly. Alhamdulillah, her picture wasn't in the article. But the article was her being interviewed about when he came by, she put on a coat to cover herself up completely. And she was asked why, when she never did that for anyone. And she mentioned he's a man of principle, and a man of morals, and upright character. And I felt it would be unappreciative and disrespectful to who he is as a person. And if you look at the interviews that he conducts, he's looking down, he won't shake the interviewee's hand, because he's a person of principle, and that's what everyone keeps respecting. Ali Abdul Aziz, he's a Muslim, but he even says he learned a lot of his faith through Khabib's devotion, etc. So he respects him as a human being, and it's important to be a Muslim. But if you can't be a good person, then you're missing out on that crucial element of being Muslim. Being a Muslim doesn't just mean praying. I may have mentioned to you guys before, when studying fiqh, if you take a book like Hidayah is broken up into 4 volumes. If you take the 4 volumes and break them up into 2 categories, the 2 categories would be about the rights of Allah, our worship to Him, and the rights of humanity and creation over us. Which do you think has more volumes devoted to it? Worship to Allah, it's fiqh, right? Or submission to creation? Not submission, being good to creation and fulfilling the rights. Which has more? What do you think has more? The rights of creation. What do you think the ratio is? The percentage difference, if you had to break it up. Hisham. Nothing? Sorry? Wait, where are we? No, if you had to break up the devotion of rights of creation and rights of Allah, which one gets more? Creation, in the books of fiqh. What's the percentage breakup? 50-50, 45-55, 55, it's not 50-50, good guess. Anyone else? Yes. 1 to 3, yeah. It's pretty much 75 to 80% rights of creation and 20-25% rights of Allah, which shows what? We have to worship Allah. We have to believe in Allah. But if we're doing all of that and we're falling short on the rights of creation, it's not useless, but it will be taken away. Habitat a'malukum, your deeds will be taken away. How do we know this? In hadith, the Prophet ﷺ asked, who is the poor man? So the Sahaba said, Allah and His Messenger know best, but isn't the bankrupt, it's actually the bankrupt person, the one who has no money, it's been taken away. He said, no. The bankrupt one is who rises on the Day of Judgment, has all of his prayers, his fast, his hajj, his umrah, his zakat, charity, all that's taken care of. Pile of good deeds walking towards paradise. How is this person impoverished? How is he bankrupt? How is he poor? As he's getting close to paradise, a group of people flock towards him. One says, what? You violated, you made fun of me. Give me some of your good deeds. Because no one's going to forgive him the Day of Judgment. So he'll give some good deeds. Someone else say, you backbit about me. Give me some of your good deeds. Here. Someone will say, you slandered about me. Give me some of your good deeds. You made fun of me. You lied about me. You insulted me. You did this and this and this and this. What's up?
When we're spinning, and then when someone let go and I fell down.
Are you okay? Yeah. So all those things, and people will begin. Thank you. People will begin. No more. You're, no, that's it. People will begin one by one to come, and once his good deeds have been exhausted, more people will still come. And those people have no good deeds to take away, so they'll take their sins from their shoulders and put it on his shoulder. Because remember, Jannah is good deeds over sins, and the mercy of Allah obviously involved. So if I have 5,000 good deeds and 2,000 sins, I still have more good deeds. If I have 10 sins and only one good deed, I have more sins, even though it's only 10.
I'm not saying only.
Hamna, please be careful with them. You're being a little rough with them, okay? Okay, I told her, okay? Thank you. And so, these people, why would they stop? They did their hajj, their umrah, their prayers, but they violated the rights of others. So here in these introductions, and you're going to see Daniel Cormier's introduction shortly, it's all about how he fulfills the rights of others. DC, very famous Hall of Famer, he says, my name is Daniel Cormier. I'm a UFC lightweight, heavyweight, and heavyweight champion. So 2 categories, lightweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. I've been engaged in sports almost all my life. He was a former Olympic wrestler, and a collegiate champion as well. I've seen everything, gone through everything, and that is what I want to say. I'm not sure that I would ever go out to fight someone like Khabib Nurmagomedov. Okay, fine, fighting. Okay, Hamna, Khadija, Anas, you guys have now gone too far. I'm going to put you all into 1 minute timeout. Hands. 1 minute in the back. When the minute's over, I'll tell you when you can play again, okay? No, you have to sit down. You have 1 minute timeout, okay? Anas, you too. Thank you. I met Khabib at the American Academy of Kickboxing in San Jose, California. To say that he is special is to say nothing. So special is the least of the descriptions you can get. He's going to be more. He's incredibly strong. Simply put, he's a fighter without pity for either himself or for an opponent. You will understand this when you read the book. Now, we get to him. At the same time, Khabib is a man of great faith and honor. Look, people, they don't stop at this one part of the conversation. He's a great fighter. He's undefeated. Anas, sit down. There's a chair right there. There's a chair right there. Look. I'm gonna give you a chair. Thank you. They don't stop at that. If you were in my class, and I'm like, oh man, you're a really good student. Yusuf is a really good student. You know, he gets A's in my class. Okay, great. Your parents will come to parent-teacher conference. I'll compliment you, etc., and they'll be happy. But sometimes, parents, even if it's a B student, etc., but you come and say, I've never seen a child disrespectful. Not disrespectful, this, THIS, space, respectful, caring, giving, selfless. Even if the kid has a B, that parent will leave beaming. Because they know while the kid may not be a valedictorian, that they parented correctly. But if I have a straight A student who comes in, I tell the parents, straight A's, no problem. All the book reports, everything are on time. But I see he's talking during my class. She's pulling out her cell phone and going on social media and not listening when I ask her to stop. They don't leave happy saying, don't worry about what he said. You're a good student and getting all A's. They don't care. Because they see it as a slight of their parenting. Okay, Khadija, Hamna, Anas, yes, and play. And they notice that, where did I come to fault? And so here you always see that his fighting is complemented by his person. And so Khabib is a man of great faith and honor, brought up as a humble and pious man. And look at these words. These are like prophetic statements. The Prophet was very humble. He was very obviously pious. And these are things that we should look for. In this book, I'm not going to teach you how to fight. That's not what we're doing this. If you want to do that, go to Dar es Salaam, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5:30 to 7 p.m. They have jiu-jitsu classes. I was taking it all summer. It's great. No striking in the face. You learn, you stay physically active. One of the students is teaching it. Ulama are participating. It's great. You pray in the masjid, come back to the gym. But that's not what we're teaching over here. We're teaching the honorable part of him. This is a story. So everything about him amazes me. I'm proud that I can call him a teammate and friend. This is the story of a simple guy who made his way from the mountainous Dagestan to the peaks of MMA. And he has had ups and downs, but he never gave up and never forgot his roots. Enjoy reading. I hope this book will inspire you as much as it has me. And that's the end of the introductions. So before we get to the first chapter, I have two students from Dagestan in my 9th grade class. So one is from Khabib's region. I asked him, hey, do you know Khabib? He's like, yeah, I'm from his hometown. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, cool. They're not like best friends, but he's like, you would see their family, etc. once in a while. And what you learn about them very early on is that your region will shape you. Where you live, where you grow up, your tarbiyah will shape you. And you don't have to be exactly as your environment wants you to be. What do I mean by this? Someone can be wealthy, for example, nothing wrong with wealth. And they can be eating the delicacies all the time and just relaxing on carpet, etc., reclining and enjoying their wealth. Someone can be even wealthier than that person and decide that they're not going to live an impoverished lifestyle, but they're going to live a lifestyle that's a little more strenuous. That rather than park in the front spot at every store and masjid I attend, I'm going to go park in the back. I give myself a few extra steps, which does get more reward. What happened? You want to take off your mask? You want to fix your mask? Yeah, it's coming off. There we go. Is that better? Okay, awesome. Say it again? Yeah, but in the back, not over here, okay? In the back. So a person can decide their environment. So for example, in the back, you can't have it off over here, okay? In the back. So for example, there's an individual. Individual's extremely wealthy. The second example now. But decides I'm going to park a little further away. I have all this wealth, I'm going to give it away. And not just give it away. I'm going to go actually give it. There's one thing to go online and send money somewhere, which is excellent, not putting it down. It's another thing to go and, go like Shaikh here went out today to serve meals again. One of the brothers who attends here normally, Mir, he went with them today. So you go with Shaikh here. Shaikh here is that, what's the restaurant called that they own? It's completely halal. It's Hafsa certified. I forgot what it's called. But anyway, they go and they deliver meals to the underprivileged and less fortunate across Chicago. So that's why it's called Shaikh here. And you go with those owners, and then they have a large van, you sit, and then you go, they'll find a spot, and then you go around a certain block radius, and you distribute to people who are in need. So you can do that. And you can be a person who's wealthy, and maybe even slip in that box of food a small envelope of cash. And now what you've done is, though you're wealthy, you've changed your environment. You're with people who are not necessarily at your socioeconomic class. And you're doing things that are a little more strenuous and humbling. So you're not a victim of your circumstance. Hamna, I really need you not to be mean, okay? Okay, but he's also 3, hands. So, okay. Can you come over and fix your pants? Come closer. He's 3, let him do what he has to do. You do what you have to do, okay? Okay, go. So, Khabib is going to be affected by his environment. But there's also negatives in his environment. There's terrorists, there's extremists, there's all those things, but he's not affected by them. So his environment is actually going to be, there's going to be some, multiplicity within his environment. It's going to be sort of varied. It's not going to be like everyone's in a mountain drinking from goat's milk, etc. No, there's going to be some variance there, but you'll see what he takes from and what he doesn't take from. So he begins with an awesome line in chapter 1, which is called Sildi, the eagle's nest. I am a mountaineer, just like my grandfather and father. And I found this to be such a profound line because Khabib, one thing he's known for is his fighting. But what else is he known for? What does everyone always comment about? His what? His character. And in particular, his relationship with whom? And the parents specifically who? His father, yeah. It's always fathers. Even when he's fighting, his corner's always yelling, father's plan, father's plan. And as you read the story, you see that his father is much more than just his biological superior. He's much more than that. He's much more than half the equation that allowed this person to come to life. It was his best friend. He's passed away now. Allah yarhamhu. It's his coach. It's his murabbi, the one who gave him tarbiyah. It's everything into one. And what's really beautiful is that sometimes people, okay, now as I speak, I'm just be watching you guys, okay? Okay, if you're not doing anything, then I'll be able to see you doing nothing, okay? Go, I'm watching, okay? So, his father, one thing that we notice that they have this very unique relationship. It's one that's not commonly found. Even when Khabib would fight, he'll always miss his father. And then that one fight he got to come in Dubai, his father was there. As soon as he wins, he looks for his father. His father comes in the ring. Then he takes the belt off himself and he gives it his father. And then he brings his father forth and he says, thanks his father. And even the interviews before the fight, what does he say? He has always asked him the same questions. And someone asked him about his dad. And what does he say? I like, this question I like, this question I like. Ask me more. Ask me about father. Ask me about father. And then he just answers and answers because they have a very special relationship. And what I want to mention to all of you, unless your father has passed away, in which case you may not be able to apply this. But Khabib didn't always live next to his dad. For months, sometimes even a year on end, he had to live away from his father. So some of us may live away from our parents. And some of us may not be the same, as close in age. He's a younger son, so he's not even the eldest in the family. And some of us might have a different background. Khabib's father grew up in the more mountainous area. Khabib, by that time, the government made them move down to more of the farmlands. So he had a little less of a difficult lifestyle than his father. And he has much more exposure to the West than his father has ever had. But he never let his differences with his father be a wedge between the two. And I feel like we do that a lot. I know I did it with my dad. And I regret it. Alhamdulillah, my father's still alive and we have a good relationship now. And I moved here to be close to him. Anytime I can't see him, like last night, I didn't get to see him. So I was thinking to myself, and my mom, of course, but just talking about dads right now. I was thinking, should I just go visit him right now? It's like 10:30. I had to do a program at Masjid Uthman, so I didn't get that window I was planning on seeing him during. Then I'm like, I'll just see him today. But you get that. You might not know this because all of you are young enough where you're living with your parents in some capacity, partially or all the time. But when you get to a point where, anyone who's here, father passed away? No, okay, so yeah. But when as you get older, then that fear is there. Right, Fahim, your mother passed away. So if we just sort of flip the paradigm, I'm talking about moms, like how that void is there. Right, my parents are in their 60s and 70s, right? So it's always that thought, like tomorrow might be a day where instead of going to see him and hearing his response, I might have to go see him where he doesn't respond. And it's always a thought in my mind. And in Khabib, he never thought his father was going to pass away young. He was not young, like little. I think he was like 60, 63. But in the mountains, they live longer. But he fought, he had an issue, complication with COVID, and that cost him his life. I mean, Allah as well. I didn't say I have to sit there the whole time. I just am going to make sure that what he's saying is wrong. So he can play. I'm just watching Anas to make sure he's not doing anything wrong. So you have to have that in the forefront of your mind. I might not be with dad too long. I might not see him tomorrow. And don't use it as a means of being depressed. People say, oh, why are Muslims so emo and you're always thinking about death. Thinking about death is a positive thing. Like if I'm thinking about death and I think I'm going to die, am I going to leave my house with, So imagine you're going to leave your home and you know you're going to die. How would you greet your parents before you leave? Or your spouse before you leave? Or your children, your siblings? Sorry?
Like with respect?
Yeah, with respect, with love, with a sense of, expression of your emotion that you never did before. Why? Because that's it, that's the last time. So when Muslims actually believe I could die any moment, they're leaving that house really feeling like, like when I leave my parents now, I kiss their hand. It took me a while. Until my 30s, I didn't do it. But, I kissed their hand, and I make sure, because I want to make sure that the last sight I had of them was one of respect, of love, and they were happy. And that's what we should make that effort. Because this gift, it goes away. By the time this book was published, when they're about to fight Conor McGregor, his father still had about 5 years of his life left. By the time we've studied this book, his father's not around anymore. It goes quickly. So mother, father, anyone in the family, we should never let our differences be a rift between us. There will be differences. Look, I promise you, I can almost say wallahi to this. The reason I can't say it is because I don't have, obviously, ability to read the future. But if your duplicate was presented in front of you, so your exact carbon copy, from the DNA to thoughts to opinions, everything was literally your roommate, you would still fight with that person. You would. That's why, marriages, when the couples are different, they work a lot more. Mufti Palanpuri was telling us when he had visited us in Zambia, Allah yarhamhu, he's passed away now, he said that when you marry, two hot-headed people should never marry because they're going to be, going at it. And then two complacent, whatever you want. What do you want to eat? Whatever. What do you want to eat? Whatever. That shouldn't happen because you just spend the whole night talking about where we're going to go eat. The store's going to close. You still haven't eaten. One person has to be a little more forthcoming, and one person takes a little more of the back seat, right? That's how it is. There's always a balance. If both of you are hot heads, you're banging heads. If one is cool and one gets hot, then the other person can sort of manage the situation. If you're both lazy, we're not going anywhere. One's hardworking, one's less hardworking, there's a balance. If both of you are hardworking, there's a problem. You might say, how's that a problem? You're never home for each other. Because you're both working these high-powered jobs and kids are in daycare, etc., which nothing's wrong with it, but the family time decreases. There's always a balance by the opposite being present. And so, Mufti Palanpuri, he was saying that to us, and that's true. If we lived with our exact carbon copy, we'd be fighting all the time. So why can't my dad or mom be more like me? There's a reason, because you would especially not listen to that person at that particular moment. Allah creates these balances. خَلَقْنَاكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا. He made all of you مِن كُلِّ زَوْجَيْنِ اثْنَيْنِ. Right? Allah made everything having pairs. What does a pair mean? It doesn't mean boy, girl, brother, sister, husband, wife. What happened? No, because I'm going to come. Sorry. What it means that everything has a complement. So the night has a day. They're not married. The sun has a moon. They're not married. But the sun has all the heat and the light. The moon doesn't. But it bounces it off the light, and that reflects onto all of us. You have, there's various examples you can give. So now Khabib says, I'm a mountaineer, just like my grandfather and my father. And he took a lot of pride in making the similarities between the two. The mountains are our home. The mountains have made us what we are. And it's so true. And we have to always be very, and it's funny, Mufti Rafi Uthmani, Hafidhullah, Mufti Taqi Uthmani's brother, Hafidhullah, from Pakistan, great scholar, he writes in his his own autobiography, although he's still alive, but he wrote about himself a little, that when he would take baths, when he would bathe, sometimes he would bathe in hot water, sometimes. And sometimes he would bathe in cold water, sometimes. So he would not always be comfortable and complacent. And when you allow your environment to develop you, now he's a person who can sort of get by no matter where he goes. And that's what Khabib saw, that the mountain made him who he is. So I'm going to stop over here and ask you guys a couple questions. Number one, what's one characteristic of a mountain? Yes?
Sturdy.
It's sturdy, it's firm, it's strong. And if you've met these Dagestanis, one of the things you'll see, like the guy in my class, Magomed, Muhammad is his name, but it's written Magomed. Muhammad, he's thin. He must be 5'6", 5'7", 100. He looks like he's 110 pounds. But man, that guy, like he'll just be like playing soccer during recess and he'll do like a flip kick and like he just yesterday on Friday he grabbed onto a tree branch and one of the teachers like whoa 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 and he just started doing pull-ups and because the mountain made him who he is. It's sturdy and he's sturdy. What's another characteristic of a mountain? Yes. Maz, right? Yeah, it's our first time meeting. Go ahead.
The rock hard.
Yeah, it's rock hard. And these guys, I wrestled the Dagestani when I was in Zambia. One of my, Hamna Khadija, not Hamna Khadija, Anas, don't bring those chairs there. We need to put them back, okay? The only one, then you have to put them back, okay? And they are rock hard, but they're not only rock hard physically, their resolve is rock hard. I was in Turkey this past summer because my wife had work. And I was, in Turkey, they don't speak English in general. Some places they do. And I asked my uncle, my wife's uncle, why? Because he's been living there since like 94. He said, Turkey is a land that's never been conquered. It's always been the conqueror. Where you saw all these European countries and even African nations, etc., speaking English because they've all been colonized. Turkey never was. So you go there and you begin to speak English. They have no need for English signs or speech because they've always been the victor. So after a while, I didn't really get to speak to many people. We were on our way, the day before I left, I believe, we stopped off at a restaurant, and there was a Muslim family that we knew from Chicago that was also coming there. So we met them there. Actually, two families from Chicago, one from this community. We met them there, and when we met them there, it was time for Maghrib. So the restaurant had a masjid in it, so we went to the masjid to pray, and I had wudu, so I didn't have to do wudu. Some of my friends were doing wudu, and I walk in as a person who looked Turkish. And so I said, Salaam alaikum salam. And then that was pretty much it, because I'm like, I've never been able to strike up conversations this entire trip, like, why even try? So he said, Kayfa halak? That's what he said to me. I was like, Alhamdulillah, تتكلم اللغة العربية? I'm like, do you speak Arabic? He's like, نعم. I'm like, أين أنت? And he's like, أنا من Dagestan. He's like, I'm from Dagestan. And I'm like, oh, really? And then I'm like, أين درست اللغة العربية? Where do you learn to speak Arabic? He's like, Syria. I'm like, Syria? زوجتي هي درست في سوريا. My wife, she studied in Syria. He's like, oh, أين? I'm like, جامعة بنور. And he's like, oh, وأنا أيضا. I as well. And then he's like, that he had graduated from the college of Sharia, etc. So anyway, we had this conversation. He asked me, كيف الأمور كيف وجدت الحال في أمريكا? He's asking how's the state of Muslims in America. And I was like, we had a rough 4 years, these past 4 years politically. I shouldn't have said that. Oh, he went off. قل من كلاب and all these things I don't want to translate that he was saying. But you can see they're rocks. These people who grew up in the mountains, they're mountains. They don't fear people. They only fear Allah. They don't fear the لا يخاف لومة لائم. They don't fear the reproach of other individuals. They have a firm resolve. And all the Dagestanis I've met, I met a bunch of them in Africa, met 3 of them in Turkey, and the ones I've known here in America, they all have that same resolve because they like mountains. Mountains, what else do we know? They grow very what? They're very tall. And some of these people are tall, but that's not what I refer to here. But they have high aspirations. Not that they want to become billionaires. They have high aspirations. They want to be good people. I've never met a Dagestani except that person was trying to become a better Muslim. Never. Now, there will be those out there, but my personal experience, never. I've met 15, 20 of them, whatever the number is. They're always trying to achieve the heights. But their base is very firm. They're very humble. They're very humble. You can't knock them down, but their height, the peak is the small part of them. The majority of them is their groundedness within the earth. And so these characteristics in them, you also find, in the mountains, you find these individuals. So anyway, I'll stop over here. There's no reason to go past this line and then have to stop halfway into the chapter. Next week, we're going to aim to cover chapter 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they sort of go into the discipline of Khabib, the upbringing of Khabib's father and mother, and then his siblings and him, and the discipline. So we can sort of merge some of them together. So I'll do 1 and 2 next week, inshallah. Any questions before we end? I have to actually leave a little early today. Okay, subhanAllah. Yeah, go ahead.
Obviously, this biography was written earlier in the recent history of his life. Was there any purpose or reason why he decided to write an autobiography by that point?
I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't mention anything. I was actually had the same question as well. Maybe it's just the time that people are demanding it. And oftentimes you'll find amendments to writing, like second editions, third editions. So maybe he's going to come out with a second or third edition. I did a lot of research for the post Connor fight to fill in those blanks. So even if it's not out, inshallah, we'll have a lot to go through.
They're here.
Where do you go now? Okay. Okay. Subhanallah bihamdi, subhanakallah bihamdi, la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk wa akhiru da'wana.
Where are we going?
COL picnic, yeah. So we're gonna get Zayd al-Islam, we're gonna pray at Dar al-Islam, the big masjid, and we're gonna go because it's right by it. Okay, let's go. Get your shoes on, let's go. Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. You coming to the, did you already go?
I did, I dropped my family.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, this is a bad time, but alhamdulillah. Good. To all the,
Not too often it happens.
yeah, alhamdulillah. You guys, see y'all next week. A little better on the court and stuff. He gave you those extra 2 minutes so you can score after that. Leave my hand. Not the only music here. I didn't know that. Well, I'll come in a lot of them. You guys are down. Then if I'm back, I'll
How does it turn on? الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.